Speaking of bad ideas, people bringing in bad ideas and how bad ideas are so prevalent on social media. I mean, we shared some from Samira Khan. And by the way, this is not necessarily an immigrant's bad idea. It's just U.S. conservatism, what we shared last week with Samira Khan. And by the way, she actually she suspended her Twitter account for a couple of days because she couldn't handle the heat after body shaming some women. But anyway, so she came back and same rhetoric. But okay, I'll just bring it up. Are you ready to hear something so bad that I just want your commentary on that? Come on, unmute yourself. I want to hear your genuine frustration. This is from your compatriot, okay? So I know you don't believe in collective shame or collective pride, but you should be ashamed of producing someone like this.
Okay, let's see it.
Can you read it?
Let me add it to the stream. Oh, Daniel Haqiqatjou, who's the reason why Harris is saying that, because Daniel is an Iranian, just like me. Okay, what is he saying? If you say yes to college for women, you are essentially saying yes to your granddaughter on OnlyFans. Wow.
Look at the rationale. Next slide.
The college to OnlyFans societal pipeline is just a mere matter of decades. Okay. How? What? How? Why? First of all, I don't understand. I also want to say that I don't like how OnlyFans is being used as an insult here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
let's just go with that. Like, okay, OnlyFans is bad and degeneracy, and the West is going down. Let's just go with that at all. But let's have a look at the depth of his argument, where he says that education to women equals debauchery. Like, there could be 1,000 other branches going off, but he is only concerned about OnlyFans. This is a problem with these simpletons, these religious fanatics, idiot dickheads. By the way, it came off at the back of, as you heard, Taliban have banned all forms of education for girls and women, even university, private tutoring, everything's gone. Everything gone. No education, zero. So he is defending that. And this is the best argument that is bringing forward, that if you educate women, like if you say yes, that he's cleverly said college for women. Fuck. He didn't oppose school when school education was banned for girls in Afghanistan as well. He didn't oppose any of that, but now he's just saying college because that was just the in word. So he's saying if you give higher education, let's just go with that with the Steel Manning. If you give higher education to women, that's going to lead to strip clubs, OnlyFans, porn industry.
Okay, so I want to mention that this is as outrageous and stupid as it is. You might be surprised for me to also say that it's actually genius. This is, when it comes to, the whole thing is genius, okay? Because this touches on what is referred to in Islam as ghairat, okay?
Ghairat,
this is like Daniel touching exactly the most sensitive part of a older conservative man's brain. He's poking exactly where it knows hurts the most.
Appealing the honor, self-honor, as you know, in the West, people most commonly know honor killing basically is that's what it stems from. So honor, it's like, hey, don't you have any shame? Your daughter is going to end up on OnlyFans. That's what he's saying.
You're right. This actually reflects exactly how women are often used in Islamic societies as a way to justify Islamic ruling, is Sharia, okay? Because no matter what the shortfallings of Sharias are, or Islamic countries are, or the lack of freedom, or anything that you might complain about as somebody who's living under Sharia law, okay? The one thing that a conservative Muslim or a conservative person who is not even Muslim but has been influenced by a religious upbringing, the one thing that they appreciate is to control women. Okay, and fear mongering about what could happen to your women if you don't put them in chains is exactly how you sell Sharia. This is the most effective way of selling Sharias. And Daniel knows that. Daniel knows that my baby girl on OnlyFans is the worst nightmare a conservative Muslim man could imagine. So if you could make them imagine that, they will go with anything, any solution that you could offer them, including full-on Sharia, including putting the entire world under the caliphate. That would be like, yes, please, save my girls, save my daughter. I do not want to even imagine that ever again. And that's where he's going. And he knows. Daniel is smarter than that to not understand that this is obviously a fallacy. Okay. He knows that this is like a very idiotic generalization, but he also knows how effective this comment is. So as stupid as it looks, it's actually genius.
I think you're giving me extra credit, but I don't think so, because I think these people think very mono-dimensionally. Because, for example, in his debate with me, he made the argument that if you empower women, then you're going to give them economic freedom. And as a result, they're not going to make as many babies. And as a result, you have falling birth rates. So it is a very linear, one-dimensional way of thinking. So I think he does believe that. So if you educate women, they can. He is willing to let go. And if you drilled him on that, he would actually tell you this. Well, what if she becomes a doctor, or engineer, or an astronaut, or whatever? I'm not gonna take that risk, because there is a possibility that she might end up becoming a prostitute or an OnlyFans. Again, these things are not mutually inclusive. So the OnlyFans are not necessarily prostitute, and being a prostitute is not a really bad thing either. So this is, I think they think that way. Somebody made a very good argument after this news came out that the Taliban have banned women education altogether. That, okay, if you don't send your girls or women to medical college, I would want to see what happens to these Taliban leaders when their wives are giving birth. So are they going to send them to male gynecologists? Of course not. But you know what? In this case as well, women are going to be the one who's going to be suffering, because they're going to go to old school midwives who just pull a baby out with no medical training, with just rudimentary traditional training of, okay, just pull the baby out, bring me a knife, and then cut the umbilical cord, and that's it. And a lot of women die during those primitive childbirth processes. So it's a win-win for people like Taliban, and it's a lose-lose for women. In every single scenario, a woman loses in this situation. And then they wonder, these people, these fuckers. I found an official Taliban account where they were showing some dude walking by some ghetto where there were a lot of actually, let me show this. Actually, I'll show this. It might be on my.
Oh, don't take that away, because I want to respond to that later.
Okay. So anyway, so this Taliban Twitter account, official Taliban Twitter account, and yeah, they have a voice too. They were making fun of America by showing some homeless people on the streets. Ha ha ha! This is America, the richest country in the world. Ha ha ha! Look at all these homeless people, or whatever. But people were trolling them, which was good. That they were like, oh, these homeless people still have a better standard of life than your top, rich, best of the best in Afghanistan. But I do want to share this video just to
wait. Yeah.
No, just give me a sec. I think it is relevant to it. I know you want to go back to it, but I do want to show this so people can conceptualize what's actually happening in Afghanistan. There are these women who, I'll mute this. There are these women who are just, protesting in Afghanistan. There were some men who walked out of their university halls, university examination halls, in solidarity with those women. But later on, with these guys, later on, I haven't been able to verify it, but on social media, there have been videos doing rounds saying that these men were rounded up and beaten up by the Taliban, while these women were also protesting and crying. And there was literally, there's nothing going to happen. I do want to touch base with another idea as well, where a lot of people, I see these videos, and obviously it touches us because, like you feel like, especially people like me, because I'm only like, I was born in Pakistan and I happened to move out of Pakistan. Pakistan is not as bad as this, but Pakistan could become as bad as this. Who knows? But I sometimes wonder, like, why are some of us lucky enough to live our lives the way we see fit? But these women there's so much talent is going to be wasted. One of the women in these videos she was going through medical college back in the 90s. She's 52 years old now, something like that. She was going through medical college. Taliban came to power back in the 90s, and then they forbade her they forbade all women to go into college. But then she came back. Well, obviously Taliban were ousted, American-led democracy came in, and then she finished her medical degree, and then she became a professor, and she was a professor in one of these universities when these Taliban barged in and they said no more. So she gave an interview. She was like, they did this to me, they wasted my precious years, but now they're doing this to these girls, and there's nothing we can do, and the world abandoned us. So a lot of people say, oh, America did this, and because we feel we're hurting. It hurts us to see that, hang on, I'm okay. Why are these people, why can't they just have something as basic as get freaking education, realize your dreams, do achieve, like, sky's the limit kind of philosophy. But I go into American interventionism. So America is bad if they get involved, and they're bad if they don't get involved. So I don't understand what the solution to this problem is. But either way, this is terrible. But people like Haqiqatjou and that woman Samira Khan, she was still simping over these Taliban, the same woman that I showed you last week, who wears bikinis and all that, and former Miss New Jersey. I just don't understand what goes through these minds. These are absolute hypocrites. Haqiqatjou's own wife studied at Harvard. Haqiqatjou apparently did some certificate from Harvard, and he is now homeschooling his kids. It's just I don't know. This is a very unfair world we live in.
Yeah, I do want to respond to the post that you had from Daniel Haqiqatjou, if you could bring it back up. Okay, all right. So here's the thing. I think the best response to this, for people who want to actually analyze this, like, without just calling it like idiotic, is, if you think about it, if you're concerned about women selling their bodies, okay, you have to look at the net effect, right? So women, there will always be a portion of the of women who are going to be involved in. Can you bring it back up?
Yeah, I am bringing it up. I've got something better. Yeah, here, there it is.
Yeah. So there will always be a portion of the population that will be involved with prostitution, right? Our concern as liberals is not prostitution. Our concern is the type of prostitution, right? The prostitution that the woman is involved in, how much she's in control of what is happening, and how much her safety is being guaranteed during the process, or he, right? If you look at the effect of college and education on the level of prostitution women, it's actually the other way around. So what Daniel is suggesting is educated women are more likely to be involved in prostitution, but it's actually completely the other way around. It's lack of education, which leads to lack of control and also lack of economic power, that is more likely to get a woman involved in prostitution than a woman having access to education, right? And also, if a woman is involved in something like OnlyFans, rather than the prostitution that poor women are involved with. This is like OnlyFans is a lot safer model that guarantees her safety and the person's control over the transaction and control. Like there's no other person that is basically selling the woman or abusing
We're
the
going to be
woman.
devil's advocate here, though.
Yeah. Well,
I think we got your points. I think we
yeah.
got your point.
So there's 2 points. Okay. There's the numbers and also the kind. When it comes to the numbers of prostitution, lack of education and lack of economic power is more likely to lead into prostitution. So
in a free world, though. But in a free world, though. But not in his world, not in his world, because he's not just going to ban women from college. He's also going to basically, imprison them in their houses. So can you imagine an uneducated woman becoming a prostitute in Taliban-style running government?
Well, he's talking about education in general.
No, I think but we know that his bigger goal. No, but we know his bigger goal is to create a Taliban kind of country.
But he advocates for women not getting educated in the United States and in Europe. Like he tells Muslim women
with that end goal. But with that end goal,
would he say, if what you're saying is true, would he say like, okay, get educated until we get to that world? He doesn't say that.
No, he doesn't
say. He wouldn't say, don't get educated, don't go get educated. Yeah. But when we have a caliphate, stop getting educated. He says, stop getting educated now. So that's what I have to respond to that. But here's a question for you, Harris. If you have
before you go into that, I'll go. So I basically just because it's such a stupid response, I just tweeted to that. So if you say yes to Islam, so let's just go by his worldview. If you say yes to Islam, then you're essentially subjecting your daughter to wife beating, sex slavery, and marital rape. This can happen within a year. If you don't believe me, you just have to look at Taliban's Afghanistan. Would you agree with that statement? Like again, like if we just follow very one-dimensional, straightforward, ignoring all nuances, and very overly simplistic thinking.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Under Islam. Yeah. So here's a question. Do you wait? So you're saying if it was full on Sharia, would I think that woman would be exposed to sex slavery, beating? Yeah, of course. That is okay. So if you come to our liberal world now. Okay, if you had a daughter, and she was in university, and on the side she was also wanting to experiment with OnlyFans, right? Would you be okay with it?
I would be. I would try to talk her out of it. I would talk her out of it because purely. Not sex shaming her or anything, because I'm thinking that if you're doing this to make extra money or whatever, I would tell her there are better ways to make money. There are better ways to gain notoriety and fame than this, because I know, again, this is going by my own experience and my own worldview at that time, that you might not like it 10, 15 years down the track. So I would try to shield her. I'd try to protect her. But if she still goes on and does everything, I'm not going to disown her or anything.
But why would you suggest that this is not a good way to make money?
Because as I said, like let's just say she could become a sports star, she could become a scientist or something.
She is becoming a scientist.
Yeah.
So she's getting educated. Like she's going to college and she's getting a degree.
Yeah, but
she has some free time at home. She was like, why not send some pictures?
But at the same time, this is what I'm saying. Like, you may not like, because if we protect some bits that are very private to us, because I think emotions like love, sex, and some emotions like that are very strong emotions, and they are better. They're worth more to you. They're more precious to you if they're kept private, because if they are for the world to see, you might not find joy in those moments as much later on in your private life. This is my opinion, and again, I would tell her that. But as I said, like if she doesn't heed advice or she goes on her own way, I'm not going to disown her.
So she might even like it, the fact that more people are watching it. You say like, oh, you might. She's like, no, I'm actually getting joy out of the fact that I know so many
Yeah, at
people
that
are
moment she
enjoying
would be. Yeah, look, as I said, I would tell her that. Yeah, at this moment you are. You might not like it when you're 35. When you have a daughter, you might not like it again. But we're talking about 2050, so we don't know how the world would
Yeah.
be at that time.
Yeah.
People might
So
not even be.
if we lived in a world where this was so normalized that people are like, oh yeah, like half of the girls in college, they had an OnlyFans account, and that's just something so normal that if you get old, let's say you're in your 50s, so let's say in 2050 this was so normal, right, that in 2090 it was like expected that I did that back in college, so it wouldn't be a taboo, there would be no shame associated with it. Then in that situation there's nothing wrong with it. Like why wouldn't
Well,
people do it?
I would be one of those old men who say, "Oh, back in my day, kids these days have no shame."
Shame.
You know, and I've always said it. Look, I've always said it. I have always said it. You know, look at every old person around you. He or she always tells you this. Oh, back in my day, things were so great. And when you look at it, no, you guys were homophobes. You guys did not.
Yeah.
You guys were very brutal in the streets. The rapes and murders that used to happen in your time were terrible. It's just this nostalgic feeling. But again, we would be a dying breed at the time. The world would be inherited by our children, and they will decide the morality. They will run the morality. So yeah, that's just that.
Yeah, so maybe our
Certain
advice would
values, values. As I said, certain values we would not be able to. I would not be, like, as I said. So this is even by today's standard, this is very liberal. That I'm okay for my daughter to like. I would not disown you. I would not hate you. But if you did do it, but I would try to discourage you from doing it. But again, as I said, my parents' generation, if I was a daughter, they would say, I will definitely disown you. So there's a progress. So my daughter might give a different advice to her daughter. So that's just how it is.
Yeah, but if you give that advice, it would be with the understanding that your advice might be bad advice, and you might just be
yeah, but it's a gamble. Yeah, but it's a roll of the dice, though. It's a roll of the dice. You don't know if you don't know if the world would become like that. The world might become like that. People may not even be interested in other human beings, because you could just go to Amazon and you could digitally create your favorite robot, and then you say, well, order it, press it, pay $5,000, and there's real life model looking like robot walks in that feels like a woman, but she doesn't nag or doesn't give you any shit, and you can just fulfill your desires. We don't know that. This is why I say, this is what I was trying to talk about you, that this whole concept of family, whatever, all of these things, these ideas are constantly evolving. We cannot even imagine how the world would be in 50 years time. Our innate desires will also change. Some people say that our biological desires may take thousands of years to evolve, and our biological desires may not evolve as quickly as our technological desires, but technological evolution. But I reckon it would. I reckon our technology will have direct impact on our biological activities as well. For example, look at our attitude towards porn. We view sex totally differently from people who were born 100 years ago. 100 years ago, an average man would have seen only one set of titties and one vagina, most likely. A champion might have seen 5 or 6. We've seen freaking thousands. We've seen freaking thousands of vaginas, and unless some girl looks like Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, we're like, yeah, we see her on the street, and like, yes, that's not impressive. Like, come on. A guy from 100 years ago would freaking lose his shit over a girl that we rate as 5. Again, I'm not saying that you should do that, but sorry, I'll wrap this up. So my point is, our biological desires and activities are also evolving, maybe not as quickly as our technological evolution, but it's catching up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should have a discussion about this, because what you're saying suggests that maybe like porn is messing our heads and like making it.
Isn't it a given? Isn't it a given?
No.
Don't you?
Well, that's a huge discussion. It depends on how much you consume, but we could talk about that, right?
What about 3 times a day? I'm not talking about me.
We should, guys, like maybe next time we should have that discussion. That's actually a good one.
Yeah.
To have your questions answered on the next live stream, become my patron today. You can do so with as little as $1 a month. Link in the description below.